Here we are. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? We have some things to talk about. Thank you very much for the thumbs up already. I appreciate that. That's always something nice to get on these live streams. Let me just adjust this down just a tad. It's weird when I adjust I have a standing desk and I can raise and lower. It's got motors in it. And when I adjust it before I start the stream and after I start the stream, thank you for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. It's like two different heights. So there's a lot happening in the world of Final Cut Pro, finally. But that's typical for the fall. That's very typical for the fall. So the summertime, it's very difficult. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's very difficult to keep talking about Final Cut Pro because there's really not a lot of news. So some people, I saw somebody made a comment, oh, there's nothing to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about it. Well, I come on and I try to get any morsels of Final Cut Pro news that I can, and also thank you very much for the thumbs up. I also give you, the listeners, the viewers, a chance to come on and talk about Final Cut Pro. It's not just about what's in the news. It's about a community where we can get together and we can chat. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Here's our first comment. Let me pull this down where we're going to be. Richard Alista from Jamaica tuning in. Thank you very much, of course. Our friend Spot Lewis from Philadelphia, east coast of the good old USA. It's not too far from where I live. Good morning from Brazil. Absolutely. Rogério. And my friend Jeff Abayo, who I'm going to see at the Creative Summit, right, Jeff? You're going to be there, from what I understand? Good evening here. Where are you? I don't know where you are. What do you think about MotionVFX? There's been a lot of comments online about MotionVFX. Okay, so we're going to talk about about the subscription model. That's what we're going to talk about today. Good morning from Venice, California. Thank you for tuning in. Don says, always look forward to this time each Saturday morning. Thank you very much. Now we're going to be thank you very much for the thumbs up as well. We got a lot of thumbs up already. So he said Singapore. He's it's nighttime in Singapore. Thank you for tuning in. There's a lot coming from MotionVFX to Final Cut Pro. I saw that. George here from MotionVFX. Excited to hear some thoughts today. Thanks for tuning in, George. I appreciate it. This is George Edmondson, I think his name is. And he's going to not only be at the Creative Summit, but he's also a spokesperson for MotionVFX. So we have a chance for the community to talk about this MotionVFX new subscription model. I have some comments about it, but I'm going to kind of hold mine back for the time being. We're just going to get the listeners. I may say a few things, which I will say a few things, but we'll have to see. There's been a lot of comments online about it. Good morning. Hello, everybody from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is appreciated. So we're going to talk about the MotionVFX new plugin when they started this subscription. We're going to talk about that. And here's the thing. I want everybody to be professional. I don't want any nonsense comments, or I won't put them up. Professional. Just like if you were in person talking to people. Professional comments. Everybody's got opinions about it. There's two main sides, but talking about subscriptions. Now, there's been two other products that I've used in the last year that have gone to subscription. One of them, without notice, was Waves plugins, which I use in Logic. I use Waves all the time. I've been using them for years. Overnight, they went subscription. There was such an uproar about the subscription model versus the ability to buy things outright. 3 or 4 days later, they turned around and rescinded and went back to the other model, as well as subscription. As well as subscription. The backlash was overwhelming on social media. The other one was Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro got bought out by another company, Bending Spoons, and all they saw were dollar signs in their eyes. And they went from, I think, a $19 or $20 perpetual license to $50 a year subscription. And they got a lot of backlash for that as well. Now, they came around just like Waves did. Waves said, no, we're just going to do subscription. 3 or 4 days later, they said, oh my God, the uproar was so great, we have to go back. So they went back to perpetual license and subscription. Perpetual license and subscription. They weren't going to do it, but it was just overwhelming. Filmic Pro had the same kind of backlash, and they held out and they held out and they held out. Well, in August, they lowered their price for subscription from $50 to $19 a year. Much more reasonable. Much more reasonable for subscription. Filmic Pro is just a camera app. There's dozens and dozens of free ones out there. So I've seen the same kind of backlash from MotionVFX. I'm going to try to keep an unbiased view about this. I'm not a fan of subscriptions, although I do have some subscriptions. But I want you, the listeners, the people that use MotionVFX, I want you to chime in, and we'll post some of the comments. Let me go back here. We got a lot of comments already. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. We're doing great. I really like Final Cut Pro as non-pro and hope they will continue making bug fixes for the current version if they do decide on making a subscription model. I am only scratching the surface of, well, no, if Final Cut Pro goes subscription, there's going to be gigantic millions of people backlash. I don't see that happening. Here's the thing about subscriptions, okay? I have some subscription apps, but they started as subscription. And their prices are very, very reasonable. They're not exorbitant. Descript is one. I have a Descript. What I'm broadcasting on here, Ecamm Live is one. I get Ecamm Live I subscribe to that, but the thing about Ecamm Live is, let me just pull this down. The thing about Ecamm Live is, let me see if I can do this. Oh, here we go. This is Ecamm Live. This is my screen that I'm looking at. So I have a main monitor. I have a preview monitor over there, preview monitor. I have audio right below me here, this way. Audio levels, you can see. I have comments coming in over this way. No, this way. Comments over here that I can monitor over there. So if I want to put a comment in, I just click on it, add to broadcast, and it comes up. But this is a subscription only at this point. However, this is a lot of stuff to go over. I realize that. Now, the other thing is I have statistics over here. That's my sound source. Statistics, this is my bandwidth. Let me know that everything's going well here. So this is very, very cool. So I have this subscription for sure. This is one of the subscriptions that I have. So I do have subscriptions. In the case of Ecamm Live, I had a perpetual license. They gave me a steep discount to go to subscription. But I still have the perpetual license that I can go back to if I ever wanted to at any point. The thing with subscriptions is this, and I want all the app developers to listen. I completely abandoned any Adobe products when they went subscription only because they're not listening to their customers. Their customers are what makes any company. You're not listening to your customers. What you should do is have two models. Perpetual license for customers that want a perpetual license, figure out a fair pricing model, and subscriptions for people that want subscriptions. Don't cram subscriptions down your customers' throats. Don't give them any choice in cramming subscriptions down their throats. That's what I object to. So let me stop talking about it for the time being. I have some subscriptions. I don't mind paying subscriptions for some things. I don't have the iPad version of Final Cut Pro. I'm not going to pay for that. I don't have an iPad that it runs on, so why should I? But I do have LumaFusion for the iPad, and I get their updates. I pay for their updates for multicam, things like that. I prefer owning the software for the most part and then paying for major updates rather than a constant drip, 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 subscription after subscription after subscription. It's like a dripping faucet. Give your customers a choice. You can have a subscription model and you can have a perpetual license model. That's what you should be doing. Pay attention to what your customers want and what they're asking for. All right, let's get into some of these comments. I understand where you guys are coming from and not against the subscription, and I'll be happy to support you guys if it was done the right way. Ruggiero says, MVFX is proving that there are enormous possibilities for Final Cut Pro and that the future is promising. Yes, it is. But I want Final Cut Pro to be promising. I want Final Cut Pro to have enormous features too. Right now, we've been in a very casual update cycle for the last 4 years. It's been very slow. I think MotionVFX should give access to more plugins for the subscription model. There you go. I believe that if MotionVFX had offered MRoto AI and MSurface as separate subscriptions instead of building them into CineStudio, users might have responded more positively and there would be likely greater support for this approach, okay? And Ruggiero says, bending spoons is where apps go to die. That's in retro. That's in talking about Filmic Pro that I was talking about earlier. I have used MotionVFX for some years now and own MO2 among their other products. I do not like subscription models, so I won't be a subscriber. Therefore, as MO2 owner, I can purchase MO3. Subscriptions are a valid business model, but it needs reasonable improvements. I agree with you, Richard. So let's talk about that. Subscriptions are a valid business model. First off, the price has to be reasonable. Second off, give your customers, once again, your customers are what make your company. All the people in your company don't make your company. Your customers make your company. If your customers don't want to be force-fed a subscription, you should not be force-feeding them a subscription. You should give them an option for a subscription versus a perpetual license. An option. Do it the fair way. Adobe crams subscriptions down everybody's throats. People that are they have a business that takes care of the costs. They don't care as much. But there's a lot of their customers who abandon them, will never come back, me being one of them, because there's not an option for a perpetual license. Give them the option. Don't cram these things down your customers' throats. Give them the option of a subscription or a perpetual license that you could charge for major upgrades. A perpetual license okay, I get version 5. Okay, when version 6 comes out, the people that are subscribed get version 6. The people that are on a perpetual license are frozen at version 5 unless they want to pay for the upgrade. You get paid both ways, and you allow your customers, give them something that they want. There are only 2 things that are subscription, and those are the ones I do not own. I love and support for MotionVFX remains, although I do not like subscriptions. Also not a fan of subscriptions. I'm hoping MotionVFX has a one-time payment for different items, especially for current users. Give them an option. Give them an option. That's what you want. Oh, what did I do there? Here we go. We all subscribe to YouTube channels for free at the moment. Speaking of that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. See if I can get those subscriber numbers up. I've not over the years. I do this because I enjoy it. I do these YouTube videos on Saturday mornings because I enjoy them. That's my motivation. I prefer paying for major upgrades rather than subscription only. Same with me. I think we should get a choice similar to Affinity Voodoo. That's what I'm saying. Give a subscription model and the ability for people that want to own the software. Because with the subscription model, if you stop paying, the app stops working. That's what I really object to. The app will stop working. However, thank you very much for the thumbs up. With a perpetual license, your app will continue to work at the version that you've paid for. At the version that you've paid for. So give your customers what you want. Without your customers, you are nothing. I don't care how good your software is. Listen to your customers. Don't cram things down their throats and make them do something. Adobe users have the option to subscribe to specific services they need. That's a good point. If the editors, it's the editor's choice, but the choice needs to exist for that possibility. And similar to Pro Tools, subscriptions can tank the business. I'm not sure what you mean there. Thanks for the thumbs up. It's appreciated. Listen, I've seen this. Like I said, Waves did it. They rescinded after 3 or 4 days. The uproar was so great on social media. They were getting trashed everywhere. They said, no, we're just going to do subscriptions. That's all we're going to do for all our stuff now, going forward. People were uproar. First off, there was no warning overnight. Was a week later, 3 or 4 days later, they rescinded and said, okay, we're going to have subscriptions and perpetual license both. Initially, they weren't. Customers were just outraged. Filmic Pro, the same kind of thing. A lot of people that built Filmic Pro up over the years and used it and talked about it, they just came out and said $59 a year, $50 a year. After last August, they lowered the price. They said it was for educational, but to $19 per year, much more reasonable. First off, the subscription for Filmic Pro was way too high. $50 a year is ridiculous for that. Final Cut Pro on the iPad is $50 a year. You think Filmic Pro is as important as Final Cut on the iPad? There's no way that's priced properly. Well, they lowered it to $19 a year. At that point, I got a subscription just to keep track of the progress. I have every Pro app for my camera that's out there. So I liked $19. I'll try it for a year. The new MotionVFX gives me hope Final Cut Pro is something big coming. I think we might find out on Monday. Listen, I keep track of these things. Thanks for your comment, Jeff. The last 4 full number Final Cut Pro updates. Final Cut Pro 10.3, 10.4, 10.5, and 10.6. 3 of those came out at an Apple Mac event. 10.3 came out with the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. 10.4 came out at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in 2017. 10.5 came out at the Apple event for the first Apple Silicon Macs. And 10.6 came out at the same time Apple event for the M1 Max MacBook Pros. So 3 out of the last 4 times we have seen a full number update to Final Cut Pro at Apple Mac events. We have an Apple Mac event coming up on Monday. So the possibility of 10.7 being released at the same time, same day, the next day, getting a preview of it, is very, very likely. It's very likely. If it doesn't come out on Monday, the following Monday is the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. And at that point, once again, if it doesn't come out this Monday, that Monday would be another time. We are going to Apple Spaceship Campus, the park, the circular flying saucer-shaped campus. The Final Cut Pro team is going to give us a demonstration, I presume, presentation. And if it doesn't come out Monday, it'll come out the following Monday, probably. Probably. I don't have any inside information about that, but based on my research, number one, the average time between full number updates is 19 months for the last 7 or 8 years. We're at 24 months between 10.6. 10.6 came out 2 years ago in October at the M1 Mac event. We got a Mac event happening Monday. Spooky fast. Spooky fast. The possibility of 10.7 coming out on Monday, I think, is very high. If it doesn't come out on Monday, the following Monday at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Do you think we'll get 10.7 at the Apple event, or will it be a Creative Summit? Well, Apple Corporate will decide that, not the Final Cut Pro team. Okay, Apple Corporate will decide when they release Final Cut Pro 10.7. Apple Corporate, I think, would probably lean towards the Apple Mac event, even if it's only a preview. But the Final Cut Pro team would probably say, wait 1 week and do it at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Regardless, if it comes out on Monday, it'll be brand new for the Creative Summit the following Monday. We're going to Apple Park on Monday afternoon, right after lunch. Look at this. Fall is happening around here. You can see the leaves falling in the background. You can see the leaves falling in the background. I got a lot of leaves to rake up. No, I don't rake them. I have a vacuum system. They will probably show resolve during the event as per usual. Maybe the coloring portion. Look, 10.7 is due. 10.6 came out 2 years ago. 10.7 is due. They have 2 events they can showcase it at. Even if it's not ready, but I think it should be ready, they could at least preview it. They previewed Final Cut Pro 10.4.4 at the Creative Summit. They allowed us to take pictures. They allowed and encouraged us to post on social media when 10.4.4 came out. It was a big update. I'm thinking it's going to be out Monday. This is the event. They're going to do the new MacBook Pros. 3 out of the last 4 full number updates came out at a Mac event. There's a Mac event on Monday. The possibility exists. It'll be fine for the Creative Summit because the Creative Summit's only 1 week away at that point. It's only 1 week away, so it'll still be fresh. And they'll have maybe new things to show us or maybe whatever. That'll be fine either Monday or the following Monday. That's my That's my thinking at this point. Apple Silicon was the biggest own goal. The machines are so good now, we hardly need new hardware. Well, I got an M1 Max, and I'll be looking at the M3 when it comes out, the M3 Max. What do you personally wish the most for as a new feature in Final Cut Pro? Well, personally, I like to see a whole new audio system with a mixing board and things. I'd like to see a scrolling timeline, which we haven't had in, going on 13 years. Everybody else has one. Logic has two. Motion has one. But what I think they're going to highlight is text-based editing and auto captions, auto transcriptions. That's what I think one of the big features are going to be in 10.7. Did you see the Osmo Pocket 3 with the DJI Mic 2? No, I saw you posted that, but I looked up the DJI Mic 2 and I couldn't find it anywhere. I have to go see what the heck's going on there, because I'm waiting for the DJI Mic Pro or the DJI Mic 2, because I absolutely love the DJI mic system. I had the Rode Wireless Go 1 and 2. I had multiple versions, sold them, got the DJI. The DJI is fantastic. I like it a lot better than the Rode. Now, the Rode Wireless Go Pro looks really good, except it's still that clunky square size, and you still have to look down on the screen. You can't look sideways on the screen like you can with the DJI system. You got to look over top of your camera to see the screen. Matthew says, I hope you are correct. Seed Creative says, better audio control, text-based editing, cloud collaboration. That's what I wish for. So cloud collaboration is interesting, but I don't think cloud collaboration affects the majority of users. I think it affects maybe 10%, 15%, 20%. There were times I worked on the Final Cut Pro documentary Off the Tracks with Brad Olson, and we worked at that point. He sent me a hard drive with all the materials on it, so I had it local. Anything new we would share, any new files we would share. And at that point, years ago, we worked with Frame.io back and forth. So there are times when I need collaboration, cloud. Certainly, it's been a big request, and I would not be against it. I'm one of the kind of people is that I don't not want a feature because I don't use it. I see a few Final Cut Pro curmudgeons out there that say, oh, I don't want that feature. I don't want them wasting time developing that feature in their big bullfrog voice. Nonsense. I want all the features. If they're smart enough to not bloat Final Cut Pro. They've been very slow for since 10.4 came out, since 10.5 came out, very slow developing Final Cut Pro. They've really fallen behind like DaVinci Resolve and some other things. So let's see what 10.7 happens. Let's see what 10.7. In 2019, went to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, and my expectations were really lowered at that point, and they're still down here. My expectations are down here, but that doesn't mean I don't want a great big update, because I do. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. Thank you very much. So our friend George from Seed Creative said, better audio control, text-based editing. Excellent. Two great things. Cloud collaboration, even though I wouldn't use it right now, yes. I'd like to see that feature as well. I've seen too many people that want that, and I would use it some of the time. I'd use audio all the time, and I'd use text-based editing all the time. Collaboration, I'd use less, but having it there would be fine. That Osmo Pocket would be convenient for your trips. Check it out. The mic connects to the camera, no receiver needed. Oh, I see. In the combo edition of Pocket 3, there is one DJI Mic 2 included, but it can connect to two mics. I see. Our friend Yari says, of course, they will show the speed of Resolve or Premiere for potential Windows switchers. No need to preach to the Final Cut Pro choir, but we want them also to promote Final Cut Pro 7, or as Jeff says, could be 11. Yes, Final Cut Pro 7/11, 7/11. Also, due to my work with MVFX, cloud collaboration would be huge. I'll shut up now. George, please do not shut up. Please chime in on this broadcast. By the way, I'll be glad to meet you for the first time at the Creative Summit in 1 week from Monday. 1 week from Monday would be great. Our friend Ben says audio tools, absolutely. Whatever they got in store with the mixing board for rolls, whatever they're going to do there, it's there. I know it's been being developed over the last couple of years. It's time to get it to us. You need to have George on the show one day. Absolutely. George is more than welcome to come on the show. I know that George has said that he understands both sides of the issue with subscriptions versus non-subscriptions. Of course. I mean, I have developer friends that have subscriptions for their services. Greg and Philip Hodgett's Lumberjack system is subscription. I don't have it because I don't need it. But I buy a lot of their products that are just, perpetual license. I would use cloud collaboration on 90% of my projects. There you go. So that is a big one. So let's go with better audio tools, audio mixer. Definitely 10.7 has got to have text-based editing and auto captions. That's got to happen. That has to happen. By the way, just got a Pocket 3 and it's a great eye camera. Very good, Yari. 10.6, us reminding me of the way legacy version 7 slowly languished and stagnated. Then suddenly we got Final Cut Pro 10. So I'm not sure exactly what's been going on with the Final Cut Pro development, but it's been very, very slow. And it seems like it's stagnated. 10.4 to 10.5 took 3 years. 10.4 to 10, this is full point numbers. 10.4 to 10.5 took 3 years to get to us. When we got 10.5, what was the big feature? It was compatibility with M1 Max. That's what the big feature was. 3 years, and the big feature was compatibility with M1 Max. Everybody has to be compatible with M1 Max, not just Final Cut Pro. Blackmagic, Adobe, I guess Avid, everybody, all the plugin manufacturers, they all had to do that work. And then 10.5 to 10.6 took a little while, but 10.6 was a little bit better, but still nothing like the old versions of Final Cut. Let's hope 10.7 has some major features. If they don't upgrade audio mixer and Mackie control support, I'll hope they put a post workflow to Logic Pro like preview automation and other things. That would be cool. The workflow to Logic right now is not that strong in Final Cut Pro. They export different versions of the XML, and the XML that goes to Logic doesn't support video changes. That's when I looked into it. Final Cut runs solid, nothing wrong there. It could just be a lot better with updated features for our current world. Yes, it runs solid. However, I've been getting that out of memory error for the last few months, sporadically at first. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. Sporadically at first. Now it's happening more often. Originally, I thought it was a MotionVFX plugin, MLooks, because the update note for MLooks said they had a memory leak. So I updated the plugin. 3 or 4 days was fine, and then it came back again. Final Cut Pro is using, let me pull that up here. I'll pull it up on the graphics page. Where's my graphics? Here we go. Graphics, where are you? Graphics 2, I got the wrong graphics thing. Here we go. this is what's happening for me. Final Cut Pro is using 215 gigabytes of memory. This is after I updated the MotionVFX M film looks that said there was a memory leak. Look at this. Look at all the leaves coming down. That is my backyard. I have oak trees, dogwood trees, maple trees. Look at those leaves. I enjoy watching them coming down, but I don't enjoy vacuuming them up with my vacuum system. Seed Creative, George says they should just blend Apple Motion Compressor and Final Cut Pro, in my opinion, or at least Motion and Final Cut Pro. Would love to switch windows back and forth like other apps. I love that in Resolve. DaVinci Resolve, you don't have to launch another app. You don't have to send XMLs. You have window tabs, tab. You have a tab for the, what's the first one? Media pool. Then you have a tab for the edit page. And you have a tab for the cut page and the edit page. Then you have a tab for color, and then you have a tab for fusion, and then you have a tab for their sound mixing. 1 tab, 2 tabs, 3 tabs, 4 tabs, 5 tabs. That would be phenomenal. But I have a suspicion that would probably be Final Cut Pro 11 if they go through that and they ever combine those into one. I've had issues with 10.6's last couple of versions that I never had before. So yes, bug fixes, please. Absolutely. Flying Leaves reminds me of Monty Python, Meaning of Life cartoon. Speaking of Monty Python, why is it doing that? Speaking of Monty Python, let's pull this up. Guess who was at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit a few years back? Huh? Now, he wasn't at the Creative Summit. He was just at the hotel where we stayed at. He was hanging around that same weekend. I forget what he was doing there. John Cleese. John Cleese. So here's the thing with the MotionVFX, which I presume most of you are tuning in for. The actual products look phenomenal. Let's go over there to their webpage. The problem is, for me and other people, the problem is, let me just take that off. Okay, there we go. The subscription model and the pricing of the subscription model. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. And why is that? That's weird. MacBook, here we go. So here's their website. Access to this, access to one payment to rule them all. This is an interesting part here. For context, we have been operating a one-time payment since 2019. They have their explanation and the reasoning right down here, which is fine. As a matter of fact, I have it up here. Let me pull this up. Graphics 2. Let me pull this up. You can read it. Here's their response that they put up, which I understand. I understand companies got to make money and things, but you should give your customers the option of subscription and a perpetual license, and a perpetual license they would pay for major upgrades, or they'd be frozen at the current version. current version. But so that's their explanation, but look at these comments though. Subscription, no thanks. Do it smarter. The hedge for video way. Perpetual licenses with upgrades for 1 year. You can continue to use that version at the right version. There's one comment. Here's another comment. Appreciate the plugins you create. You should have 10 times the sales by opting for a one-time purchase. And MotionVFX says, we totally get where you're coming from. They understand people are upset. Great products, bad pricing model. Give it a go before saying no. That's a good little quote there. This will be fine for new customers that have not spent hundreds on these plugins already. Frustrating that the existing loyal customers get screwed over. So when they say if you own any of Cine Studio packs, we grant you 3 months, extra 3 months. You pay for 12 and get 15 months for the first billing cycle. That's not enough. 3 months free is not enough for people that have already bought the plugins. You should do something beyond that. Let them keep their perpetual license for the current version that they have. That's what I'd like to see. Almost bought it, then saw it was subscription. Just try it. That's fair. Try it if you want it. Looks nice, but no thanks. No more subscriptions for me. We understand this model is not for everyone. It's not for a lot of people. It's not for a lot of people. Subscription for just 2 tools. Roto is nice, but all not $200 a year. No thanks. For those who bought Cine Studio, once again, I don't think that's enough. I don't think 3 months for people that own it is enough. It's so disappointing to read these same lame copy and paste responses to all these serious customers' complaints here and on YouTube, etc. Please rethink your new plus shameless subscription scam. I am very disappointed. There's a lot of people that are upset about the subscription model. I completely understand that. I'm not a fan of subscription models either. My suggestion, like I said, give your customers a choice. Let them buy the subscription model if they want, or buy a perpetual license with the understanding that they will not get major updates. They have to pay for major updates, but they can keep operating the version that they have perpetually. So suppose it's version 5. Version 6 comes out. If they don't want to pay the upgrade fee, they can keep on using version 5 as long as they can. Let's see what we got here. I got the free trial and played with the M-Tracker Surface. Had horrible results following their own YouTube tutorial. That's not good. Notice the quarterly subscription cost almost twice as much as an annual subscription. That's because they're trying to, once again, force you into an annual subscription. I noticed that. I was really shocked. As a matter of fact, let's go back to this. Let me see. Where's the pricing model? So here we go. Here's the pricing model. Let's just look at the 2D plan. $19 a month is an introductory pricing. If you switch this to quarterly, it goes to $34 a month. It goes to $34 a month, $102 billed quarterly, $102 versus $19 a month. They're really trying to force you into that yearly plan, which, I understand. They want to make as much money as they can. But I am demoing Cine, and the Roto AI is the best I've used. The sub is very expensive. And what happens if Apple does the same thing in Final Cut Pro? You mean sub making us subscribe? I don't think so. They would have a war on their hands. I want to see the numbers prove the pay once model can't sustain your business. I don't buy it. They make tons of money at it. Their stuff ain't cheap. That's very true. Hi, Ben. Really loved your color grading tutorial you made on Mac Pro Video. Did not need most of it, but it really improved the looks of my video. Procreate Dreams has a huge list of compatible iPads for the new animation editor. Glad I will be able to write on video without updating my iPad. Very good. You're welcome. Those are so old, but it's still good info. Glad someone got use out of it. Okay. To clear confusion on that point, if you already own Cine Studio plugin, you still own it regardless of subscribing or not. That's great. So that's a perpetual license, but let people, well, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Quarterly is $288 a year. Annual is $348. Oh, he said he did some bad math. Imagine you purchase Final Cut Pro for $300, invest over thousands in various MotionVFX plugins, and now they're asking for $300 a year when all you need is M-Roto. No wonder people are upset. Listen, they've said they understand why people are upset. They know it. It would not surprise me if they modified in the future, this severe restriction of the subscription only for some of those plugins going forward. 34 by 12, 408. He's doing exactly what he was talking about. Exactly what Steve Creative just said. That is precisely where I'm at with this. The only two I don't own are the 2 subscriptions. I would like an option to purchase and others to too. See, that's the problem. You're not giving your customers options. Your customers are your lifeline. Without your customers, you're nowhere. Listen to your customers. There's a way to do that, to listen to your customers and continue your business. Listen to your customers. Look what Waves tried to do. Look what Filmic Pro did, and they also rescinded from $49 a year to $19 a year for a subscription. They completely lowered that price. Both of them had to do turnaround. They didn't have to, but I think they were losing business. They certainly were losing in the sphere of public opinion. I think Waves Audio did something like this months ago, switched to subscription. They had to back down as one of the big audio brands. It wasn't. It was like a week, and they had to back down and offer it back. It was completely blindsided all of us. Hi, Rich. Do you have to be pro artist to use Procreate Dreams? What do you expect besides Mac computers at the October event? I think they're talking about the new iMac, M3 iMac, and then a new Mac 16-inch MacBook Pro, and maybe is it a 14? 14 and 16 are the MacBook Pros. So I have an M1 Max MacBook Pro from 22 years ago, or 3 years ago. I can't remember. So I certainly would be interested in the M3, but I'm not going to buy it on day one. I don't have to. This one's been fantastic. This one will be going to the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit with me so I can broadcast live. I fear enough folks will jump on the subscription and nothing will change. I don't think so. I don't think so. Your customers are your lifeline. Yes, they are. They are. I don't care what talent you have. I don't care what advertising agency you use. Without your customers, you are absolutely nowhere. Listen to your customers. Don't fight with your customers. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's appreciated. There's a way to do both what you want and also appease most of your customers. You will never appease 100% of them. I mean, I don't care if Final Cut Pro 10.7 comes out on Monday and it's gigantic update with tons of features and reworkings and everything. Every Final Cut Pro user will not be satisfied. That's impossible. But you can get more, a higher proportion satisfied by listening to your customers. So Ben says, so something like $400 a year, you get 4 plugins, so they have to pay for the templates and other plugins. You need that in non-extended studio. What the heck? Yeah, here's the thing. First off, I don't use those rotoscoping plugins. I think I would probably be interested in those. Let me look something up here real quick. Let me look up something. I got to look this up real quick because we're getting so many comments about this. I want to bring this up. Here we go. Copy. I'm just going to pull this up here while we're talking about plugins. So this is something that people certainly can consider if they don't like the subscription model. Core Melt has Shot Anvil. Now, Shot Anvil, it's a package of a bunch of their plugins in one, not a subscription. Not a subscription. It's a one-time purchase price. Launch special. If you own any previous Core Melt product with Mocha tracking, get 50% off the purchase price. Details below. This has a lot of features, tracking and stuff. I think it has, here we go, photo features powerful compositing in one plugin with multiple different tracks applied, one-click, AI one-click person masking, auto applying of effects to improve, etc., etc. So this is coremelt.com, one-time price. The regular price is $199. Apple Silicon Native. It works in Motion and Final Cut, 4K ready. You can download a trial to try it out. It seems like, I'm not an expert on rotoscoping, it has a lot of the same tools as this MotionVFX one has. One-time price, certainly worth, if you're against subscriptions, certainly worth checking out. It's only $199, but you can download a free trial to try it out. Eric says, if you're going with quarterly, you probably know your needs will not necessarily renew every quarter. That's true. I just need a good tracker, and Core Melt has their new Shot Anvil, which looks really nice and way cheaper than MotionVFX. No one has an exclusive on compositing and tracking. That's a good point. Core Melt gave a very limited window that I missed. I have lots of this stuff, never got noticed before 21st October 2023. Ben, I think if you messaged Roger, you probably get a little break on that, since I'm sure you know him personally. I think I've seen you around. Plus, here's the other thing. MotionVFX is a big sponsor of what? Of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, which is coming up next week, right? Yes, it's coming up next week. Let me pull this up. Where's my backyard videos? Here we go. So MotionVFX is here. Down at the bottom here, FMC, of course, associated with the Apple NAB show, which is interesting. Platinum sponsor, Core Melt and MotionVFX. This is Roger Bolton. This is our friend George, who's watching live. They're platinum sponsors of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, so they'll both be there. And look at this. Marketing sponsors. Final Cut TV, Final Cut Pro Radio. I'm a big marketing sponsor of the Creative Summit. I've been working with them since 2016. But it's interesting. Both CoreMelt and MotionVFX will both be at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Time is running out. Let's look at the program. Keynote session, and then a bunch of this. This is a shuttle bus going to the Apple Spaceship Campus, and then a bunch of other things down there, all the different programs. Still have time. You still have time to get your ticket. $2.99, plus you have to do your hotel and airfare or travel or whatever. Our friend Tangier Clark says, good morning. How you doing, Tangier? So Rich has something. Grab MotionVFX and talk some sense into them. We'll be chatting, I'm sure. And there's another point. Richard, do you think the things that MotionVFX just released is indicative potentially of what Apple won't be including in the near future update? No, I don't think so. But I don't know if rotoscoping, do any of the NLEs have rotoscoping natively, or do they use plugins? I'm not a big rotoscoping person, so I don't know. And here's a good question. Where is FX Factory? Great question, Eric. Where in the heck is FX Factory? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be coming out with subscription only? So this is a lot of stuff. All have it except Final Cut Pro. Okay. But are they plugins that they have, or is it native rotoscoping? That's what I don't know. Premiere, DaVinci Resolve would be something there. Here, look at this. Got more leads coming down. I do like the fall. I really do like the fall, watching the leaves coming down, but I have to vacuum them all up. So anyway, I want to hear more comments. Anybody who has comments talking about MotionVFX. We're talking about three things today. The MotionVFX subscription model. I think probably it's not about the quality of the plugin. I think people like the quality of their plugins. I have some MotionVFX plugins. I'm not going to be subscribing. I don't need this plug-in, so I'm not going to be subscribing. But I have some of their stuff, and it's quality stuff. It's the subscription model, and that's the only choice you get. We buy plugins that give us the capabilities of After Effects and Fusion. Fusion has built-in AI masking and roto. There you go. It's built in. That's what I thought. It's been fun, everyone. I'm out. See you at Summit, the Creative Summit. Absolutely, George. Just make sure we see each other, talk to each other. Resolve and even CapCut has built-in Magic Mask AI. Adobe After Effects has rotoscope built in. Never hear Leaf screaming again. Python, hey, hey. CoreMelt and others have made tracking plugins, then shortly after built it into Final Cut Pro. So what will third parties do? I don't think is indicative of what Apple will or won't do. I don't think so either. You can rotoscope in both Final Cut Pro and Motion. I don't think you can in Final Cut. Not rotoscope? That doesn't seem like. Oh, here you go. Wait a minute. Oh, Final Cut Pro has rotoscoping, but they call it something else. Scene removal mask. It's not amazing, but enough for garbage matte. Okay, there you go. So it's a limited version of rotoscoping. Yeah, I remember that. You got to do some kind of a layer thing where your background is. There we go. I didn't have that up all the way. So the other thing we're going to talk about is Monday. Apple Scary Event. The Apple Scary Event. Apple event. Now, first off, what the heck is going on with 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern? What is going on? Look at this time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm in bed at 8 o'clock typically. What? This is so unusual for them to be going on at 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific, unless there's something to do with Halloween. I don't know. Apple is scaring me a lot lately, but here's the thing. They very well could announce a new version, Final Cut Pro 10.7, at this event, the same day of the event, around the event, the next day, or they could wait till the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, which is the following Monday. Both. Ben says, oh, wow, I marked it AM. Oops, PM. Yeah, it's weird, Ben. It's 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. 8 o'clock at night, an Apple event is. It's the strangest thing. Maybe the event will reveal why they're doing that. Don't know. So, Jason, rotoscoping doesn't exist in Final Cut Pro Motion. They have a limited version, that Magic Mask or whatever the heck they call it. Not the pro level that other places are offering. That's for sure. So, anyway, just wanted to talk about that. I thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's really appreciated. It is really, really appreciated. Let's do this. Let me just pull this up real quick. Social, here we go. Social, turn that back off. So, I'm asking for your support going to the Creative Summit. Buymeacoffee.com, Richard Taylor. Buy me a coffee, $5. It's not going to break you, but it means a lot to me. I have a lot of expenses going to the Creative Summit. I'll be reporting live from the Creative Summit. I do these Saturday events most Saturdays. I took the last Saturday off. I was just too busy. So go to buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. Buy me a coffee, $5, $10. Each one's $5. And I'll mention you when I get my coffee at the Creative Summit, or I get an Uber, or I buy a hamburger and French fries. I'll mention you by name. But it would be appreciated if you buymeacoffee.com. It is appreciated. What else do we have here? Somewhere else. Cam link. Oh, there we go. The time is great, works for me. That is Asia. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a completely different time overseas. So maybe they wanted to give people overseas the ability to watch it live, the live stream. You don't get, tens of millions of views like it always does. I mean, I'm usually in bed at 8 o'clock, so I will be staying up later than I normally will to see what's going on. I'm really going to be looking for any hint of Final Cut Pro. Sometimes they don't show Final Cut Pro. But if you go to the specs page after the event, to MacBook Pro specs page, at the bottom it said, Final Cut Pro 10.7 was used in this demo, a future version of Final Cut Pro. It could go either way, future version, or they could demo it and say, hey, this is the new version of Final Cut Pro. In 2016, the MacBook Pro Touch Bar, they were showing the MacBook Pro Touch Bar. There's a woman presenting, and she had Final Cut Pro up on the MacBook Pro Touch Bar. And she just casually says, oh, by the way, that's the new version of Final Cut Pro. That was Final Cut Pro 10.3 the day before the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Because I was on my way to Cupertino. I flew into SFO, San Francisco. I was in the Uber, whatever it was. I don't remember. Maybe it was a super shuttle going to Cupertino. and I was watching the presentation, which was the day before, and she goes, by the way, that's the new version of Final Cut Pro, 10.3, just casually mentioned it. They can do that again on Monday. It sucks for Europeans, though, that's true. Middle of the night. One of my last Final Cut Pro summits, we sat for a presentation by the team, couple new things, and the next day, although sworn to secrecy, the information was all over the internet. I'm not sure what information you're talking about. They don't mind. They've never said we can't talk about a new version of Final Cut Pro. They've encouraged us to talk about 10.4 when it came out, 10.4. 10.4 was introduced worldwide debut at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Same the next year with 10.4.4. Worldwide debut at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. 10.3, 10.5, and 10.6 were all introduced at Apple Mac events. But so we get here, this is what Ben's talking about. Let me pull this up. Here we go. Program. All the way at the end, dialogue with Apple. Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. They, if they feel comfortable that nothing's going to be released, they're more open. They're more open. If they think everything they talk about in that room is going to be released instantly, they won't be as open. So I don't remember new features. I don't remember the new features being discussed. New features, the only time I see those discussed when they release 10.4 and 10.4.4. I don't remember new features being, because they don't commit to new features typically. They say, well, whatever. We'll think about it. I am not looking for every single feature, but there are some tasks that are pretty common that I would appreciate having built in. Even if I could get both easing in and out like in Motion, yes, that's been a pain. What about text-based editing, Tangier? What about auto captions, auto subtitles? Everybody else has it. They've had it for months, since NAB last year. Final Cut doesn't have it, so that's what I think is going to be a big feature, if not the main feature in 10.7. Ben says, I think it was the very first time they met us, the dev team. I think it's been a while since I went to those. That must have been 2015, because 2016 on out, I don't think they've talked about features at those. Better keyframing? Absolutely. Absolutely. My joke is that keyframing in Final Cut Pro is like keyframing on an Etch-a-Sketch. That's what it feels like. It has some nice things that I can do, but it doesn't quite work. No, give us Motion's keyframe editor in Final Cut. Click on something, it expands in the timeline directly in place. Give us the ability to expand a compound clip in place in the timeline, not jumping to another timeline that has no relationship to the current timeline that you're on. Or a built-in hold feature with Ken Burns. There are so many little things that I now have not been dealt with. I don't think we should have to buy plugins to rely on. I agree with that. My philosophy is I don't want a skeletal, bare bones Final Cut Pro NLE that you need hundreds and dozens of plugins to make full features. No. There are things that NLE should do, and there are things that plugins should do. Final Cut Pro should have better audio with the mixing board. After all these years, there's no master volume fader in Final Cut Pro. It doesn't exist. Something as basic as a master volume control. It took us 11 years to get dupe detection. Took us 5 years to get remove attributes. These are all basic things that NLE should have. A mixing board, however they're going to implement it in Final Cut Pro, absolutely should be there. Nuno says, have you checked the latest Cine Studio plugin from MotionVFX? And he thought that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the subscription model more than the actual plugin itself. Etch-a-Sketch, I agree. Love that analogy. That's what it feels like. I've often said that from the very beginning. It's like, what the heck? How do I... You have two controls, up and down and back, left and right. It would be awesome to have the AI features like Premiere Pro for auto transcription or Resolve. Resolve has it as well. The studio version. Yes, opening compound clips while keeping markers in place. Yes. How much was M2 when it was being sold? Yes, opening compound clips while keeping markers. Absolutely. It doesn't make any sense. You double click on a compound clip and it zip takes you to another timeline. Where'd my other timeline go? And it doesn't keep you in place where you are in the main timeline. I'm sure they're going to do that, right? That's got to be something that they've been working on. No matter what, 10.7 could have dozens of new features and all kinds of stuff. Everybody's not going to be satisfied. That's fine. My expectations are low. So if they don't do much, my expectations would be met. If they do a lot, my expectations would be exceeded, which is what I'm hoping for with 10.7. So what do you think is going to happen on Monday? We've talked a lot about MotionVFX. We'll talk more about it. What do you think is going to happen on Monday at the scary fast? Well, obviously, that's going to be the M3 MacBook Pro, another iMac, M3 iMac. I'm pretty sure no, I'm not pretty sure. I know there's going to be a bigger iMac at some point, 27 or 32 inch. I don't think that's going to happen at this event. You know, an iMac Pro, again, even though they said they discontinued that version they had, it absolutely is going to be happening and coming back again. I mean, I'm going to price the iMac, not the 24, but the 27 or larger when it comes out, versus getting another MacBook Pro, because this one is running so well, having an iMac might be an option for me. 27, though, it's got to be 27 or better. Richard, do you think the Avid purchase will bring into the NLE more modern functionality, space, or will it just remain fine with its dominance in Hollywood? I don't think, Avid's got so much competition to reach out anything outside of Hollywood, doesn't it? It's got Premiere, it's got Final Cut Pro, it's got DaVinci Resolve, it's got things like CapCut and LumaFusion on the iPad, and it's also on the Mac. Maybe they'll announce Final Cut Max. That would be great. That would be phenomenal. I don't care about paying for Final Cut Pro 11. That's fine. Give us a discount, the ones that have supported you all along. I don't mind paying for Final Cut Pro 11 if it's got a brand new, built from the ground up features, blah, 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 like 10 did. Okay, it was $199. If they sold that 2,000 copies, that's $400,000. They weren't making money. Avid is still on more TV stations than anything else, right? So that market will slowly erode to Avid, because Avid's already in there with their color corrector, right? They're in a lot of those studios already. So Final Cut is making... the TV Hollywood thing is not that important to Final Cut. And it's because I don't pay attention to words. I don't pay attention to people doing this in your ear. Ba, 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 ba. I pay attention to this, the walk. So if Hollywood was important to Final Cut, they would have attempted to do things for Hollywood. They've done very little for Hollywood. It's not their main target. No one beats Avid collaboration tools. They've had it for a long time. I use an account for my company, but I should resign. But I should or could resign. Should I buy a personal license before Monday or hold? For what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Final Cut, personal license. What are you talking about? New? No. I paid for the upgrade to Final Cut from version 4 to 7, but did not buy 10 until the release of 10.5, as I did not have a computer capable of running it until then. Final Cut license. I would wait. There's no hurry. See what happens on Monday, just in case they have a new version of Final Cut that comes out. Well, 10.7 wouldn't be, 10.7 would not be a cost, I wouldn't think. Final Cut Pro license, wondering if they only give discount for old users. They don't give any discount at all yet. They give it to educational. If you go to school or take a community college class, you can get Logic, Final Cut, Motion, Compressor, and Soundstage for $199. So if I was going to buy Final Cut new now, I would enroll in a college course and get the educational discount for it. Final Cut Pro Legacy reached critical mass, according to Apple, at the Final Cut Pro reveal. They bragged about owning TV and series inroads and movies, then released Final Cut Pro 10, and they claim they now don't care about TV movies. Once again, Ben, I don't pay attention to this, the words. Where are the actions that they care about Hollywood? Where are the actions? The other thing is, there's just no actions in the whole history of Final Cut Pro 10 that they're that concerned about Hollywood. A little bit, sure, but proportional to all their other fields that they're after. Hollywood is not their main target. It's not. It's mixed in with a dozen other places that they're going to do stuff. So I don't pay attention to words. I pay attention to actions. Where are the actions that Final Cut was after Hollywood in the last 12 years? They don't exist. They don't exist. Little bit, but they don't exist, day in and day out. I get that. Great tip. I'm doing my master's. Great. Oh, you're doing your master's and you're in college. If you're a instructor or a student, you get all five pro apps for $199. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. If I was going in today, that's what I would do. I would just take a class at community college and then get the discount. Now that Sonoma is out, and maybe with their future update, we'll get something akin to pairing in with the new media framework that could open up the door for more codecs in Final Cut Pro. Spot on. Actions is more important. Exactly. I don't pay attention to people jabbing in my ear. That's nothing. Chris Hawking has been working on something like this, and Chris Hawking is, for the first time, is going to be at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Chris Hawking, for the first time, is going to be at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So, we're back over to the Creative Summit. Go back to the main page. So, keynote, iJustine is going to be there, and we're going to Apple Park and the Hyatt Regency. So what they're doing this time is they're having the presentations at one hotel in Santa Clara, and most people are staying at a hotel 1 mile away. So you got to get to the presentation hotel every morning. 1 mile is not too bad. It's a 15, 20-minute walk. And or you can just team up with people and you get an Uber. I think I priced the Uber, it was $8 or $9 without a tip. So you're talking about $10 for a one-way. Yeah, it's kind of expensive day, and twice a day to and from. I'll team up with people going back, but I'll probably walk there in the morning. We'll have to see. I, as a teacher, just did that, have only installed Final Cut Pro and Compressor, but have access to the other 3 apps. That's a great, great thing that Apple does. $199 educational, all 5 Pro apps, $199. So, what do you think is going to happen on Monday? Final Cut Pro 10.7 Monday or a week from Monday? I think that, look, am I predicting that? Kinda. I'm predicting that's going to happen, but that doesn't mean I don't know anything. Nobody's whispered in my ear. I get people telling me things. I get messages in the middle of the night and stuff all the time. But I don't know that it's 10.7 is coming out. But I think the possibility exists. Monday or a week from Monday. Same here. I'm an instructor as well, but having to rely on plugins for so much and not having admin access presents additional barriers. Yeah, I don't want a skeletal Final Cut Pro. I don't want a skeleton, and then we have to buy all these plugins to make it work. No serious Final Cut Pro update this year. My expectations, Ben, I'll take that bet. If they come out with 10.7, which is an update, go to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a coffee. That's my prediction. If they don't come out with an update, well, they're going to come out with an update, so I don't have to worry about that. So students jump onto other applications where they can just do these things built in. And there's so much competition right now. I mean, you got LumaFusion on the iPad, which also runs on the M1 Max. You have CapCut, people like that a lot. You have some other free solutions. You have Resolve free. You got Resolve on the iPad. You got Final Cut on the iPad. You have Final Cut on the Mac, which is what I prefer. You got Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve for $299, one price, no subscription. You have, if you're into Avid or Premiere, what else is there? There's so much competition right now. So that is my prediction. Final Cut Pro 10.7 on Monday or the following Monday. And like I said, my expectations are down here. If 10.7 comes out and it's not much, then they meet my expectations. If 10.7 comes out and it has a lot of features and a lot of cool stuff, then they raise my expectations. I'd like to see my expectations raised. Right now, they're down. Is Resolve on the iPad free? I think they have 2 versions. They have a free version and then a studio version, Ben, because I tried to get it for my iPad, and my iPad was too old, and I wasn't going to buy it. 100% will get 10.7 on Monday. I'm glad you're so confident. I'm confident too. Monday, it could come out during the day. 10.7 could come out during the day, and then they demo it at night. Remember, the event is 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's an odd time. 100% based on speculation. That's speculation or wishing or whatever. No leaves. No leaves. I mean leaves, but not any leaves falling. Once again, 10.7 is coming out this fall, Monday. Between this Monday and the following Monday, he says, well, 100% based on his spirit. What you think? I've been saying this for months. 8 a.m. Tuesday, Singapore time. Wow. 8 o'clock in the morning? Well, that's really weird. I mean, it's unusual. Apple usually is 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern in the afternoon. This is 8 p.m. They've never done it. Have they ever done a 8 p.m. Eastern time presentation? I don't think so. I can feel it, and it feels right this time. Now, here's one odd thing. When back in the old classic back in the old classic days of Final Cut, when Final Cut Pro 10, I think it was 10.4, it was Final Cut Pro 4.5, they announced it on a Sunday night, the day before NAB, which was on the following Monday. That was Final Cut HD, if I'm not mistaken. That was an odd time to release Final Cut. Sunday night, but it was right before NAB, which is on Monday morning. So they did it before all the competition of everything happening on Monday, all the buzz at NAB. That was also an odd time. Resolve iPad Studio, $94.99 and not a subscription. Yes, there you go. Perhaps Apple will try to separate from the competition and build in AR tools in Final Cut Pro unless they are planning a new dedicated app for that down the road. I'm not sure what this means because it would be something to do with some relation to China. You mean the time, the 8 p.m. time? I don't think so. They've never done it before. They've had a relationship with China. And this is a good point. I keep hearing about CapCut is getting very powerful. It's a shame I can't export an XML to finish it up on Final Cut Pro. China is a hardware manufacturing and social media concern. Won't affect FCP. Actually, I don't think that's any. I think he was talking about the 8 p.m. time frame. I don't know what. I have no idea what the time is in China. 8 p.m. I have no idea. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to. Any more comments before we get out of here? So we talked about the Creative Summit. We talked about MotionVFX. A lot of my students have been talking about and using CapCut on their own. Yeah, CapCut looks, once again, people that don't need a full-featured NLE, CapCut looks pretty darn cool. Use it on the iPad, I think, iPhone, and on the Mac. One of the things I want to say about Final Cut on the iPad is I can edit with LumaFusion on my iPhone. I can film and edit with LumaFusion on the iPhone. I don't have to use an iPad. And I'll be using that when I go to the Creative Summit for short clips. I'm not going to spend hours editing on it because I have my MacBook Pro. But if I take a short clip and want to edit it, put a little title in or something, or color correct it real quick, I'll do that on my phone in LumaFusion. You can't believe how effectively you can edit on an iPhone with LumaFusion. Very, very good. Great live. Thanks so much. You're awesome. Thank you very much. It's very nice of you to say that. You know. Later, buddy. Have a good weekend. Thank you for tuning in, Ben, as usual. Thanks for your time, Richard. Thank you. Thanks for broadcasting. Friend is using Vegas on Windows now. I'm very impressed with what Vegas is now. I just did a podcast I edited a podcast with talking about Vegas on Windows. I was impressed as well. Ben says he's out, and so am I. I think I'm completely done. Now, let's see what happens on Monday. Thanks, Richard. See you at the summit. Stephen, make sure you come up and say hi. Introduce yourself. Everybody is coming to the summit. Introduce yourself if I don't already know you. I'm going to be glad to see everybody. Thanks, Tangier. Thanks for tuning in. I wish you could come to the summit. I've been bugging you to come to the summit. He says, will do. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, everybody, the summit is 1 week away. We'll be doing, thank you very much for the thumbs up. We got a lot of attention this morning. And if we have, let me go back to here. If we have a Final Cut Pro thing happening on Monday, I'll be back on talking about that. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. No, believe me, I'm still working on it. Yeah, just Tangier, just talk to me offline. I have one more summit pass to give away. If you need it, and that will be the determining factor let me know. So talk to me. We talk on, I think, on Twitter and messages. Talk to me there. Let me know if let me know if that'll help you. Thank you so much for the excellent live. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. We got a lot of thumbs up today, a lot of people watching. And stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And to be notified, I'll be back multiple times this coming week leading up to the Creative Summit, leading up to Final Cut Pro 10.7. Maybe. I'm not going to place a bet that 10.7 is coming out, but I think it is. I think between Monday and the following Monday, we will see Final Cut Pro 10.7, but I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying it's going to be at a Mac event or it is going to be at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. As a matter of fact, let's go here real quick before we leave. So if you go here to FCPX.tv, this is the longest running Final Cut Pro 10 website. I am the longest running one. I've been around for a long time, since Final Cut Pro was introduced. So here we go. Final Cut Pro, countdown to Final Cut Pro 10.7. There's an article over there. You can talk, it talks all about it. Gives you details about stuff. There's the scary fast event, et cetera, et cetera. And it talks about all the things that I think about Final Cut Pro 10.7, and I think is coming out. If it doesn't come out, my expectations are still down here. It's coming out at some point. Now's the time it should be coming out. Don't you think? Thanks, everyone. I have the best audience for Final Cut Pro live streams of anybody. You are all the best viewers on Final Cut TV Live. Thank you for all your Final Cut Pro shows, Richard. Thank you, Jeff. I'll see you at the Creative Summit. I'll be coming in there, I think, on Sunday evening. So be ready to go Monday morning. Get to go to the Spaceship Campus and see the Final Cut Pro presentation. I'm going to get out of here, everybody. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel. I will be back very likely during the week to talk about Final Cut Pro 10.7 or at least the new MacBook Pros. Appreciate. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I got some other things to go do today. I got a Halloween event I'm going to tonight. I might be streaming it live, a little bit of it live on my YouTube channel and on Facebook. So subscribe over there to the YouTube channel, Richard Taylor TV. All right? Thank you. You're the best audience. Every one of you. I can see every one of you. You're the best audience of any Final Cut Pro live streams. You're the best. The ones that are here now. Talk to you later.